What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking in on today's edition of Jazz Nation Daily. My name is Daniel. I am the admin of all those Jazz Nation pages that you are following online through. Let's get ready. Through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, the podcast, the Patreon. I think there might be a MySpace page, but who knows? Anyways, you can find the links for all these pages in one simple spot. Just go to linktree.com/Jazz Nation News. Thanks so much for checking in with us here today. If you're watching on the live stream, if for those that have never checked in on this or don't know, just every day, I have no certain time when I do this. I just do this once a day. It's called Jazz Nation Daily, where I just basically give the news, some updates on what's going on with the team and things like that. That yesterday was a hefty day on the news. Did the daily a little later in the day because I was waiting for to see if there's any more news, but a lot of new stuff come out. Of course, the trade, John Collins coming to the Jazz, Rudy Gay on his way to the Hawks. So today was a little slower day on the news, but still got some stuff to talk about, and we'll go over that here shortly. But just want to say thanks to those that are checking in. You can watch the live stream on the Facebook page, the Twitter page, and the YouTube page. And if you watch it on there during the live stream, you can comment and interact here with me. It's also fun. It is fun because then I get to, answer some questions and like that. I see there's a couple of questions already rolling in. So thanks so much to Ryan, Carlito, and Paxton for checking in the comments there. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. If you guys have any, if you're watching on the Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter and you'd like to interact here, please leave a comment and let me know. So, to start off today, I just thought I would bring up something that I've been seeing. I think this is mostly I've seen a lot bickering on Jazz Twitter. I got to tell you guys, if you're not on Jazz Twitter, it's an interesting spot in that, it's great for information. News breaking obviously is great for that. That's what Twitter is supposed to be, right? But then, of course, there's the ugly side of things. I feel like this is just the world we're in right now. It sucks so bad, but there's always got to be a negative for everything, right? And for some reason, it's always these negatives that just takes over things. Instead of us being positive, instead of us being so happy that we're getting a player like John Collins for basically Rudy Gay in a second-round pick, instead we're yapping more on Twitter about, well, this sucks because this is going to ruin Taylor Hendricks' playing time, and Taylor Hendricks was supposed to start, and now he's probably not going to, and bah humbug. Like really? We're really worrying about that? Like, folks, first off, I said this a lot yesterday, and I'll say it again. Everyone needs to pump the brakes and chillax a little bit on Taylor Hendricks. Like, y'all are just setting yourself up for being let down. The dude's a rookie. He's 19 years old. Let him show us what he's got, right? Just chillax. Like, maybe he starts, maybe he doesn't. Who cares? He's still going to get time to develop. You really think Coach Hardy and his coaches are just going to be like, well, we got John Collins here now, so Hendricks, you might as well just go down to the G League and just chillax there. Really? You think that's going to happen? Come on. Just everyone calm down. Let's be excited. There's a lot to be excited right now. Our team is exciting right now. These 3 new players from the draft pick, John Collins is coming in. We haven't even gotten into the next season, like as far as being able to do trades and things like that. Like, that's coming up. So calm down. There's still, I guarantee, like, the roster we have right now is not going to be the roster we see when the Jazz open in October for the next season, this October. Like, just relax, guys. Just calm down. Like, that's the thing. That's the number. As somebody that runs the social media pages and deals with seeing, folks on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, that's the one thing that I've always just been, it's been so hard for me, is just, I've always wanted to try and calm folks down, and then I gets me into arguments and things and stuff, and then it turns into a whole gigantic mess of a thing. But, like, folks, let's be positive. Let's be happy. The team is in an awesome spot right now. It's 2 thumbs up. Yay. Don't go negative. Okay. Everything will be fine with Taylor Hendricks. Calm down. Okay. Sorry if that just seems really unnecessary and stuff, but I promise if for anyone that is on Jazz Twitter or on Twitter and sees this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like on Instagram, Facebook, the comments aren't as as worrisome about the Taylor Hendricks playing time. It's just, for some reason, it's just a Twitter thing right now. These people are freaking the heck out over this. Get over it, folks. Like, here's the other thing I always say. The number one important thing about the Utah Jazz or any professional team, they're there to win a championship. They're not there to worry about having good, players that are, let's just say, like when Joe Ingles was here, right? And when he got traded, there was this whole like, oh no, we can't let Joe. Look, the fact of the matter is he did great while he was here, but it was time to move on. It's the best thing for the team to do is to move on from a player and make the team better, right? Not keep a player just because fans like him. Does that make sense? Like, we got to keep in mind the number one goal is to win a championship. And so trust Justin Zanuck, trust Danny Ainge, trust Coach Hardy. They are doing their best to get us to that championship. And that's what's important. Don't worry about playing time stuff, especially right now. That is so dumb to worry about. Chillax. All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, a little kumbaya-ish moment, let's talk about something that is coming up real fast. Well, first, before I get to this, actually, I wanted to address something else, and that's the thing that's coming up even closer to that. June 29th. Why is June 29th so important? That is the date when players must make their decision. They must have like the final decision in if they're going to opt in on contracts or opt out. Obviously, we already know yesterday with the trade that's going to happen with Rudy Gay going to the Hawks, he is going to opt into his contract, but that makes it so he's on the Jazz roster so they can trade him into Atlanta. So he will opt in and then be traded. So that leaves us with two other players we're still wondering about, which is Jordan Clarkson and Taylor Horton-Tucker. I got to tell you, I am very surprised that Taylor Horton-Tucker, that we still haven't had a decision on that. I kind of thought at this point we would have known. And, I said this yesterday, it feels like most people are kind of stuck in the middle of what he's going to do. Is he going to opt in? Is he going to opt out? I feel like the longer this goes of the waiting time to see, is it just me or does it feel like that means he's out? I don't know. Maybe that's just conspiracy me. I get conspiracy on that. I did say yesterday, and I'll still bet my money on it, that he does opt out, however, stays with the Jazz, gets a new contract. The Jordan Clarkson of it all, though, that's still interesting. Obviously, I do think he's going to opt out. But, there's a part of me that wonders, does he opt out, but then he comes back to the Jazz on a new contract too? If he opts out and comes back on a new contract, then I don't think there's a way the Jazz keep Taylor Horton-Tucker. I just don't see them both coming back on new contracts. So that's kind of we'll have to see on there. But it might be interesting in the fact that maybe Clarkson sees what the Jazz are doing right now as far as bringing in a John Collins and likes the direction of the team. And he goes, you know what? I'm in. I see that you guys are ready. This team is in a win now situation. I mean, the team almost made it to the playoffs last year. Now we've made a better, they made an addition to the team that should help them win now. I'm in. So conspiracy Daniel here thinks in my head that maybe that's where they're at in the Clarkson situation, but I don't know. For everyone live streaming right now, can leave me a comments and let me know what you think. Like, if that was a situation where it's got to be like Taylor Horton-Tucker opts out, but then gets a new contract with the Jazz, would you prefer that? Or would you prefer Clarkson opts out and then gets a new contract with the Jazz, but you have to pick one or the other? Like, which one would you like? I see we've got a comment here. Let's pull this up real quick. Paxton there on YouTube. Thanks so much for giving me a comment. He thinks that JC's back. We'll see. I got to tell you, though, so this might upset some folks here, but hear me out. Toward the end of last year, I was honestly, while Clarkson was out with the finger issue there, and Taylor Horton-Tucker basically had to take over the guard position there, I was getting the vibe that Taylor Horton-Tucker he wasn't on the same level as Clarkson, but he almost was kind of doing the same Clarkson-esque things in the sense of bringing the ball down and then being able, to get, run the plays and stuff when he needed to. But then he could also attack the basket and score when he saw it necessary. Is he as good as Clarkson is doing those crazy under the basket layups and whatever? No. Could he get there? Maybe, because you got to keep in mind, Taylor Horton-Tucker is only like 23 years old. He's still really young. Where a player like Clarkson, I believe, is in his he's 30 or 31. So which one do you want? Do you want someone that's really young and has a possibility of going to another level on this game? Or do you want someone that's a little older, Clarkson, who is just showing us what he's got? And, is he possibly going to get that new contract and then come down, start declining? You'd hope not, especially if he gets a new contract with the Jazz. So those are those kind of things that, a lot of fans, I don't, as a fan, it's easy for us not to think about. But as a GM of a team, that's got to stress you the hell out, I bet. I mean, I can only imagine that's got to be so hard to sit there and be like, oh my God, which one do we want? Because the other thing is Clarkson is such a good locker room guy. I mean, you've heard that a lot from players about how Clarkson is just so funny. He's easy to get along with. I mean, think about all those videos we see of him when he was out and he's just on the sideline and he's cheering on his team and everyone, it's just obviously, and he's a big fans love him. He's got all the support. So, man, that's got to be a sticky situation there as far as trying to figure that out. Again, if they both opt out, I just don't see the way of both of them coming back. It's one or the other there. So let's check some more comments here and see what folks are saying here as they're live streaming. Joe Mo, so hopefully I'm saying that right. JC, new contracts, what he's feeling there. Let's check out a comment here from Riley on the YouTube. Would prefer Clarkson back, but do not think he's coming back. Okay. So in that sense, Riley, you're saying you think Clarkson's opting out. So you just think he wants to go somewhere else for maybe, is he ring chasing? Maybe he goes join less money and joins a more contending team, or is he going to look for the bag? That's what he cares about, is going and getting paid, which I could totally see being too. This is probably going to be his last quote unquote big contract of his NBA career, as far as getting as much money as he can in a lengthier contract. So I don't know. It's a sticky situation as far as being able to see what happens there and not. Sorry, got some Twitter notifications there and I had to hurry and check and make sure there's nothing popping while we're out doing this. He's always got to be up on those things. But so we should know here, man, honestly, afterward, it could happen. That's what I'm saying. You got to check out your Twitters because it could happen any moment right now. Out of those that the NBA's players that needed to opt in and out, it really feels like those two guys are some of the last two quote unquote big ones that we're waiting to hear on. So by the end of this week, we should know. So we shall see. Moving on to what we do know is coming up, and that is Summer League. It's crazy how quick it's coming up. It's coming up so quick that it's actually next Monday is when it starts. It'll be, let's pull up the exact dates to be 100% sure so I don't give any false info here. So Salt Lake City Summer League, that's the first Summer League for the Utah Jazz playing here in Salt Lake, and then they go down to Vegas right after this is done. But Salt Lake City Summer League starts July 3rd, 5th, and 6th. So that would be going next Monday. Then they obviously take the Tuesday off for the 4th, then the 5th and the 6th. That is such a weird scheduling. Why didn't they just start it after the 4th? I mean, I don't know. It probably has something to do with teams needing to travel down to Vegas and stuff like that and get ready. But anyways, so Salt Lake Summer League is coming up quick, real quick. Get ready. Jazz basketball is back next week. So with that in mind, I thought I would go over the Jazz Summer League roster. So the team hasn't actually officially released the roster yet. However, if you're hardcore into checking into the tweets and info coming out of things like I am, of course, and so many of you that probably are watching this are too, you kind of have an idea who's going to play on the Jazz Summer League and who is not. So I came up today and I've tweeted it out on the Instagram post everywhere and that of the roster that I believe the Jazz are going to have for Summer League. And then I put a little stars and saying, these are the guys I think are going to be on the roster but not play, kind of a situation. So let's go over the roster that I think we'll see for the Jazz Summer League. Ochai Agbaji will be playing. He'll be returning. We obviously know who he is. Luka Samic. Remember the Jazz Luka for the end of last season. He should be playing. Here's one that I hope is on the Jazz Summer League, but I'm not 100% sure if he is, because I feel like I've seen him checking in recently on his Instagram saying he's in Salt Lake, but I haven't seen him in any of the other posts recently, and that would be Johnny Juzang. Now, not the funny, but the interesting thing here, and him and Micah Potter, They were both on Jazz two-way contracts last year. Now, NBA teams can only have 2 players on two-way contracts per season. Now, the Jazz actually just signed a new player to a two-way contract, which is, where's his name again? Oh, I'm missing it on this one. Joey Hauser, who was undrafted, 6'9" forward from Michigan State. So he's a two-way player. That means either Johnny or Micah are out as far as being on that two-way. So it feels like Summer League is going to be very important for either one of those guys to, either stay with the Jazz or show off and maybe get on another team. So, but while I'm talking about, I'll come back to this real quick to the list here. Let's stay on this. So we talked about Johnny Juzang, Micah Potter, and another guy that's been on the Jazz roster last season, Vernon Carey Jr. I'm not sure if he's going to stay with the Jazz. The Jazz have a lot of length right now, so this could. I mean, again, if he is, I've seen when the Jazz released a video yesterday of the rookies, getting into the Zions Bank Basketball Center, which is the Jazz practice facility, and they were meeting some of the current Jazz players, and that's where you saw like Ochai was there, Luka, and then you also saw that Vernon Carey Jr. was there as well. So that's why I'm wondering if is he just in town, working out with coaches and stuff like that, or is he going to be on the Summer League? I think it would be really important for him to be on the Summer League just to show off. Again, kind of the same thing I was just mentioning the last two. It would be very important for him to show off either for the Jazz and get a roster spot, either with the Jazz or maybe he's just on the Stars, or to show off and, get a spot on another team. So it'll be interesting to see if he's on there. Bryce Sensabaugh, this is where one of my first stars is. Obviously, he was the 28th pick for the Jazz. After listening to the interviews yesterday, when they introduced the rookies, I personally, this is just me, there hasn't been anything official reporting or anything, but this is my gut feeling. I personally don't think he plays in Summer League. There was a lot, there's a lot of talk about the injuries that he's had at the end of his college career. He said in his intros that, he's feeling good, but he didn't exactly come out and say 100% that he's going to play in Summer League. So that just gave me a vibe that this is, again, no reporting. This is just me educating, guessing. I am going to say he probably doesn't play in Summer League in Salt Lake or Vegas Summer League. They probably want to make sure he's 100% ready for camp and training camp and fall and when things get going on, the practices and things like that. Again, I said this yesterday too. Don't be surprised if he spends majority of the time with the Stars because he needs to get himself into NBA shape. He needs to get he's just one of those guys I feel he will really, really benefit from the G League and being with the Stars. So again, this is not a report. It's not official yet. That's just me, my 2 cents on it. Keontae George, obviously the other draft pick, he does no problems physically as far as him having any injuries. He should be playing in Salt Lake Summer League and then Vegas Summer League as well. Taylor Hendricks, he also talked in his conference yesterday about that he pulled his hamstring or tweaked his hamstring, and that's why he didn't have a workout with the Jazz. He says he's good to go now, but he wants to play in Summer League, but it does not sound so, to me, again, this is my gut feeling. If I was a betting man, this is kind of a tricky one. I would bet, if I was going to say right now, he does not play in Salt Lake Summer League, but then could possibly play in Vegas Summer League. And I know that sucks for fans here in Utah because you want to see him play and stuff like that. But you got to think as far as better competition for the players, that's in Vegas. Here in Salt Lake, it's kind of, it is what it is. I mean, the teams are going to play. There's only 3 other teams playing and stuff like that. Trust me, the players care way more about going down to Vegas Summer League and showing off there's way more eyes on them for that. There's way more other players there. It's a bigger deal. I mean, I think we would all agree, and if we're being honest, it's a bigger deal. So that's, again, another star there. Taylor Hendricks, I would not be surprised if he doesn't play in Summer League at all. But if he does play, I would say maybe takes Summer League off here in Salt Lake, but then goes down to Vegas and plays. But again, to be determined. Now we get into the guys who were not drafted, but the Jazz picked up right after the draft, on kind of like free agents, if you will. So I kind of mentioned the first one there, the guy that they signed, Joey Hauser, is the new two-way guy. So he'll play for the Jazz, but also play with the Stars, kind of a deal. He is 6'9" forward from Michigan State. His brother does play. I know a lot of people when that first came out was like, hey, is he related to that guy on the Celtics? Yeah, that's his brother. Another interesting fact, it's all this weird connection to things, right? His brother's on the Celtics, but then, so there's that Danny Ainge thing and then Coach Hardy stuff. But then also, Hauser also started, so he finished at Michigan State, but he started his college career at Marquette. Who was his coach at Marquette? Steve Ojo, who's now the head coach for the Salt Lake City Stars. So full circle there for you there. Kind of crazy how that happens, right? Another player that's going to be on the Summer League roster for the Jazz went undrafted. Tavion Kinsey, 6'5" guard from Marshall, 23 years old. Again, went undrafted. When I start mentioning these players on this one, these are going to be the guys that are kind of probably just filling out the rest of the roster. Don't expect them to get, unless they really ball out in Summer League. I really wouldn't expect any of these guys to make the Jazz roster. Maybe if they're good enough, they come back for a training camp tryout kind of a thing. And maybe if they're good enough from there, they can end up on the Stars rosters kind of a thing. But these guys that I'm mentioning here, count on these just being more of the guys filling out the Jazz Summer League roster. So next one up, Nick, and I hope I'm saying these right, Nick Ogden. It's Ongenda. Apologize if I'm really messing that up. But he's a 6'11" center from DePaul, 22 years old. Again, went undrafted. Next up, Keyshawn Justice, 6'7" forward from Santa Clara. Again, undrafted. Colby Ross, 6'1" guard from Pepperdine. Now, he has been playing overseas. So they just picked him up because he was overseas, and now he's trying to get back and sing in the Summer League and get back in the league if he ever was in the league. But he's been playing overseas. He actually won the Liga Basket Series A's MVP award for last season. So this league that he was playing in last year, he won the MVP for that. So that's cool to see. But 6'1", small little guy there. So we'll see what he's got there. But there's actually someone on the Summer League roster that's even smaller than him. So we'll get to that in a second, though. Next person up for the Summer League roster for the Jazz, Ed Crosswell, 6'8" forward from Providence, 23 years old, again, undrafted. The crazy thing when I was going through this roster, and I had talked about this before going into the pre-draft stuff and the draft, it's so crazy to think about now that like those that get drafted are mostly 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. It's so rare anymore for like seniors or anybody older than that to get drafted. And a lot of these guys that are coming in for the Summer League, they're older guys. And it's crazy just to think that that's how it goes now anymore. I mean, think back to like, I guess this is old school stuff, but Patrick Ewing days, even like a Tim Duncan. Didn't Tim Duncan go for a few years of college? And they just don't do that anymore. But yeah, so the one I just mentioned, Ed Crosswell, 6'8" forward, Providence, 23 years old, getting a chance to play the Jazz in Summer League. Last one here, Kiai Clark, 5'10" guard from Virginia, 23 years old, went undrafted. Kind of a Jazz connection here in the sense that he's from the Philippines. So maybe he's got a connection with Jordan Clarkson. Maybe they played together in the last FIBA stuff. Couldn't really find anything on that. Was trying to see if there was a connection there, but maybe there is, maybe there's not there. But so yeah, again, some of those guys, most of those guys that I mentioned there, you will see on the Jazz Summer League roster. A guy like Johnny Zuzang, maybe not. Maybe a guy like Vernon Carey Jr., maybe not. Again, myself, this hasn't been reported. This is not official. I personally do not think we see Bryce Sensabaugh at all in Summer League at Salt Lake or Vegas Summer League, just because of his injuries that he had when he was in college. And it's way more important for him to be ready and 100% for Jazz training camp in the fall, and then obviously the season. And then Taylor Hendricks, again, with his minor injury that he got during pre-draft workouts. It doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but it's always way more important to take it safe than sorry and have him ready for the season. I would not be surprised if he does not play in Summer League at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if let's say he plays one or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if he does play in Salt Lake Summer League, but then doesn't play in Vegas. But I would think it's probably going to be the reverse, that maybe he doesn't play in Salt Lake Summer League, but then does play in Vegas Summer League. But we should see. I would bet that they are going to release the actual schedule for Summer League, the roster, either today or tomorrow, or I guess Thursday. It's got to be very soon, though. It's got to be soon. At this point, the players are in town, and and they've probably had their first practice today, to be honest. I saw that one of them had posted a photo on their Instagram saying that they were in Salt Lake, and just, this may sound creepy, but kind of where you could tell the photo was pretty much very close to where the Jazz practice facility is. So probably gotten their first practice today. Hopefully things went well, and we'll see where the roster goes there. When it comes to the summer league, I think I'd mentioned this yesterday, maybe recently, but I'm very excited to see what Ochai does there as far as taking his game, showing us what he goes as far as taking his game to the next level. Obviously, when these players finish like last season, they have a meeting with the coaches and Coach Will Hardy and get kind of directions where they would like them to work on the off season. So it'll be very interesting to see what he is working on and trying and show off to Coach and us, the fans here in Summer League. So I'm very excited to see that. And then the guys, like I had mentioned, as far as a Luka, Juzang, Potter, and Vernon Carey Jr., those guys, they need to show off in Summer League and prove that they deserve a chance to stay on the Jazz roster, because those guys, their contracts they're on could easily be cut. They could easily just, there's no biggie for the Jazz to say, you know what, didn't like what you did in Summer League. Sorry, we're done with you. Good luck on your career kind of stuff. So they have really got to ball out in Summer League if they're on the roster. But we'll find out here shortly. To any of you guys watching right now on the live stream, are you excited for Summer League? Are you going to Summer League games? What are your thoughts on Summer League? Let's looks like some of the comments I have here are going back to what we were discussing earlier. So let me check this one out. This is reference to the comment that we got earlier from Riley. He's answering me back saying, I think it's both. A contending team. This is him talking about Clarkson. I'd asked what he thinks is going on with Clarkson. I think it's both. A contending team who will give him a nice contract. I don't know how many years, but they'll pay him the amount have paid him. So Riley, thanks for the comment there on the YouTube. You left that, but he's basically saying he thinks Clarkson's out, going to a contending team that's going to pay him. I don't, who's that going to be though? Like, who's a contending team? Like, okay, let's think of contending teams, like starting the East. Miami? I don't think so. I don't think he goes to Miami, because the Miami have some guys that they're going to bring back that are free agents, and I think they're set on as far as their rosters with the guards and things like that. Who else is in the East contending team? Milwaukee? I don't know if Milwaukee. I guess I don't really know what their salary's like, and does a guy like Jordan Clarkson help their team? I don't know. What do you guys think? Think of that one real quick. Do you think Clarkson, if you're watching the live stream, do you think Clarkson could fit in with the Bucks? I don't know on that one. Coming to the West, Denver Nuggets, don't really see that happening. Who else is, there was a recent article in the last couple of days talking about teams, and one of the main ones that people are mentioning, or I guess getting brought up, was the Houston Rockets. That's a hard one to see too there. I think, and this could just be maybe my Jazz blinders on, it's just so hard for me to think about where he could go that's not the Jazz, that's like a quote unquote contending team, because all these other contending teams, like the big ones, I don't see him fitting in, or them needing him, I guess, in that situation. The Kings are going to have some money to spend, so maybe, he is, let's be honest, I do believe he's a California guy, so it probably wouldn't hurt. He wouldn't be against going back to California kind of thing. I don't know. Who, Clippers? Maybe? It's crazy. I mean, this is hard to sit here and think about. I feel like I'm just talking to myself, but I really don't know. Let's see what we got. Another post here. If Houston gets Harden back, him and Clarkson don't exist. Yeah, that's crazy. And now this whole thing about James Harden, it sounds like he might be staying with the 76ers. If I was that guy, if I was Harden, I would stay away from Houston, just because I don't see Houston doing anything as far as competing anytime soon. But maybe he just wants to get the bag and go somewhere where he's the main dude, because if he goes back to Houston, I mean, he's beloved there. They would love the crap out of him. He's going to sell a lot of jerseys, blah, blah, blah. So if that's his thing, maybe that's his thing. But if he wants to win, I would say your best chance is in Philly there. So let's go with that. Paxton here, I say they sign JC and then trade him early in the season for a younger person. Yeah, maybe, but like, I don't know. Like if that was, well, then why didn't they trade him last season? I don't know if that's the thing. Plus, like if a team wants him, they could just sign him now. Like why trade for him unless the Jazz get him on some kind of like awesome deal and the team's like, oh yeah, we'll definitely trade for him now. But that's so hard to say. The Clarkson thing is so tricky. I mean, I had mentioned that if you haven't listened to the latest episode of the Jazz Nation podcast, and shame on you if you haven't, you should go listen to it. It's available on YouTube and all the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google, free on there. Check it out, please. But I was speaking with my co-host on there, Will Wonder, and I said about oh boy, I just lost my train of thought there. What were we saying? Clarkson is just a tough situation. Like it's so hard because you're just thinking like Clarkson loves Utah, and I think everyone knows that, but it's just a tough situation because of his age. And then, it's just so hard because you're just like, is he, his agent's going to try and get him obviously some good money, but is it, and I don't think the money part's really going to be the issue when it comes to him if he wants to come back to Utah. I think the length of the contract might become where the issue is. Because, like I said earlier, this is his quote-unquote probably last big contract of his career. I'm not saying it's his only last contract, but it's the last quote-unquote big one as far as making money good years. So his agent's going to try and get as much length on that contract as possible. And good, that's what you're supposed to do. But Utah's probably going to want to play it safe because, like I said, the age thing, it's just 30 to, when you start going to 31, 32, 33, you're just going to start declining. It's just what happens. So especially a player like Clarkson that is so fast paced and attack the basket, you just, those kind of players just got to be careful with. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Again, we should know an answer on this like very, very soon, maybe today, or maybe they have to tell us by the end of this week. So we shall see. But yep, that's all the news updates I got for you right now. Thanks so much to all of you that checked in and are giving me comments here and live streamed, watched with me. Shout out to those that gave me some comments here. Appreciate that. Paxton, Riley, Jomo, I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I didn't. Ryan, I see you there in the comments. Thank you guys so much for leaving some comments there and watching on the live stream. Again, if you don't watch the live stream today, watch it tomorrow. I do this every day, well, at least Monday through Friday. If I'm in town. If I'm out of town, I'll let you guys know and I'm not doing it. But you get a chance to get on here, chat with me during the live stream, and I'll just give you any kind of updates I can as far as what's going on with the team. Sometimes there's a lot of news like yesterday. Sometimes like today, the news is a little scarce. I feel like tomorrow, probably by this week, we're going to have some big news as far as like the official announcement of the Summer League roster, the official what the hell is going on with Taylor Horton Tucker and Clarkson. So there's a lot more information to come. Check out Jazz Nation. My pages on the Instagram. We're on all the social media pages, the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, we're on TikTok. I got to tell you, it's hard to do TikTok stuff just because, TikTok's more about dancing things and stuff like that. And I'm more about trying to give you updates on the team. So I do my best to do it either on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, check it out on there. It's available as well. Just search for @JazzNation News is the handle on there. Make sure you're checking out the podcast pages. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube page. If you feel like you can help out me and all the work that I do here, we do have a Patreon page, which is a way for you to give a little support to us and say, appreciate all the work you do. Look, it's $6 is all we're asking for, $6 for a month kind of a thing. And you can subscribe. And it's a way for you to say, I appreciate all the work you're doing. Here you go. Here's $6 a month. I would love, no pressure. If you want to do it, if you can, whatever. Patreon.com/JazzNation. If you're looking for all my links for the Jazz Nation pages, just go to linktree.com/JazzNation News. Thanks again so much for listening to today's Jazz Nation Daily. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Go Jazz. Peace out and bye-bye.